So let's talk about trains, not any old trains though. We're talking about HS2. Now, a group of transport experts have said that the HS2, the high-speed 2 rail project, is overpriced and, get this for a quote, will fail in many of its objectives. The academics say they support the scheme in principle, but they say it's not going to regenerate the north of England or reduce climate change. The report says the HS2 is 5 times more expensive than its French equivalent, and they say the benefits can be achieved much cheaper, much more cheaply, with lower CO2 emissions as well. Now, this was the response to the report from Giles Thomas. He's HS2's technical director.
What will happen is that we're going to create a system which will allow so much more capacity to be provided that the conventional network will be freed up and choices will be available to be able to connect cities and in a far more efficient way.
Let's speak to Joe Rukin now from the pressure group Stop HS2. Hello, Joe.
Afternoon, Sam.
Hello. So when you heard about this report, I mean, did you welcome it with open arms, the conclusions?
Well, absolutely. Same old, same old. Everyone who's done an independent report on HS2 has found out that it has been massively lacking. Basically, there was never an assessment what's best for Britain's transport infrastructure. It was just, we're going to build a high-speed railway, it's going to go this route, and it's going to go 250 miles an hour. So we don't care if it doesn't interconnect. We don't care about the carbon output. And we don't care really how much it costs, besides the fact that it misses loads of cities and places will get worse services. You know, that's one of the things that this report highlighted. For example, you know, Stockport will lose connections. Other places in your area like Macclesfield, potentially Warrington, will also lose services as a result of HS2, because there is a demand in the business case for a reduction in the current services of £8 billion.
We heard Giles Thomas there, though, saying, look, it's just going to give us more choice. And as consumers, we always want more choice, don't we?
Well, it's not going to give you more choice. You know, your choice is that you can get on high speed 2, potentially, spend a lot more money, but for the cities in between, you know, you will have a reduction in choice. You will lose your services. And, you know, because HS2 doesn't connect very well. To say HS2 is about choice now is really scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of the arguments for it. And this is the thing that this report has highlighted in the stated objectives of HS2. It's going to fail in all of them, apart from, you know, increasing capacity. It could be done cheaper and better by other ways.
The
idea that it's a magic wand that's going to solve the north-south divide is completely specious. It's going to drag more economic activity to London. And if you really want to improve the economic prospects in the north, you invest in the north. You do not make it easier to get to London. That is a very, very last thing you would want to do.
What about the argument, Joe, that the thousands and thousands of jobs this is going to create, even in building the project, that's going to bring huge prosperity to a lot of people, isn't it?
Not really. You look at Crossrail, for example. If you're working for Transport for London, you're probably a home-based worker. If you're working for Crossrail, you're almost certainly been brought in from another country to work on Crossrail. And that's what's likely to happen with HS2 as well, that it's going to be produced by foreign labour. And, you know, that is not bringing jobs and prosperity to the people who need jobs and prosperity at this present time.
Do you think the government's going to listen to this report and maybe change things?
Well, the thing is that every single independent report that's come out has slated HS2, whether that's been, you know, the Public Accounts Committee, the National Audit Office, who are on their 3rd report on HS2, which is absolutely unprecedented. But normally the government just stick their fingers in their ears. The thing that is different this time is that Sir Jeremy Haywood, the leading civil servant, has been called in at panic stations to do a report on HS2 because it's going over cost, because the project management is absolutely rubbish. And the reality is that it has come back to the point where you really maybe have to go back to the drawing board and look at what was best for the Britain's transport structure. And that's what's in this report. Go back to the drawing board, look at the alternatives that were never assessed in the first place, and maybe try again.